Hello everyone and welcome to the Arthritis Action Podcast. My name's Mark, as always your host, and I'm not the only member of the team today. I am joined again by Terry. Hello Terry.
Hello.
Back again. And joining the pair of us today, we have Sophie Krank. So Sophie's not only a regular at our online groups that we run, but more importantly, given the topic of today's episode, she is a parent living with arthritis. So hello Sophie and welcome to the podcast.
Hello Mark. Hello Terry.
Hello, good to see you.
Nice to see you as well.
Excellent. Cool. Well, obviously this is like we've done a lot recently about with like medical professionals and stuff like that. And I thought it'd be nice to have something a bit more personable for people, because obviously we speak to so many members and so many people have arthritis, and so many of those people are also parents, which just opens up an entirely new set of challenges for what can already be incredibly difficult just having arthritis itself. So love to pick your brain on how you get on with all of that, if that's all right.
That's fine, yeah.
Excellent, cool. So, I mean, I've given you like a very brief intro, as always, but if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience with arthritis.
Yep. So my name's Sophie. I live in the lovely Leeds. I'm a single parent. I work part-time and I have a 11-year-old child, 11-year-old son. I've had issues since 2019. I wasn't diagnosed until 2021 with inflammatory stroke, rheumatoid arthritis. But I've had my initial issues from 2019. So my son would have been 6.5.
Okay, so it's a fairly recent thing then, your diagnosis with arthritis.
Yep. So it took me, like most people, it takes a little while to get diagnosed. As most people will be aware, there's very few who get diagnosed very quickly. My illness actually the start of the illness came on the back of a viral illness. So I had the flu, and I've had issues after that. So my experience is from having a child who's maybe a little bit older. So I can't really speak about people who have babies and toddlers or pregnancy. My view is really from what I can say of having a slightly older child, and my relationship with my child has obviously changed during time. There's a lot of reliance of myself on my child, on my son. He does a lot of things for me. So I think it might be helpful for me to talk through maybe the challenges that I've faced and explain how I manage these sort of day-to-day things.
You've kind of hit exactly what I wanted to talk on first straight away there, Sophie, so thank you. So, so what are the challenges that you kind of face with this?
So one of my big challenges is pain and tiredness, so exhaustion and tiredness, and it's all sort of related. It all depends on how active I've been as well and what I've done. So one of my big challenges is obviously exhaustion and tiredness, just feeling really tired. There is no magic cure, sadly, for exhaustion. A lot of the time, the only thing I found is that I need to rest. There is no magic pill to pop that allows you to go out. I think it does require a little bit more management of your everyday life, especially when you're a single parent and there isn't another parent to pick up the pieces. Even if you do have another parent there, you might have more children. So it's just as difficult, I'd imagine. I think with regards to needing more rest when you feel exhausted, I think it's really important to really speak to your children about how you feel. I think it's important to explain to them that maybe today is not such a great day, that you might need a bit of rest. I think especially an older child does actually understand better. I think it's quite important to encourage your children to help you on those days and not expect too much of you. My son's quite happy if I'm laid with him, snoozing on the sofa while he games. I don't feel bad about him having that extra screen time. A lot of parents use screen time as a way to keep children engaged. Whether those children are neurodivergent or whether those children are just got a lot of energy and that's the only way to keep them sat still for a little bit. I think we need to get away from feeling bad about it. Of course, screen time shouldn't be the 100% every single day, all day solution to keeping your child busy. But I think if you do need that, I don't think we should feel bad about it. I don't think we should measure. We shouldn't go and say, "Oh, but the scientists say we should only allow our child 2 hours screen time." If you need 4 hours of sleep, then your child will just need to have the screen time for you to rest and recuperate. And when you get back from your rest, you will probably feel a lot better and you'll be able to engage with your child. There's no point feeling bad about it because it's not going to make you feel any better. It's not going to help you and your recovery or your general well-being. Feeling bad about something that's a necessity, I would consider a necessity.
I think that's a really interesting point to bring up, like, the villainization of screen time, especially as I think, a lot of the people who maybe have researched this have spent their entire day on a laptop typing that or something like that, with the ironic way into which this is reported.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that it's adapting to your condition, isn't it? So like, that you can't just like say, oh yeah, we went for a walk in the woods and did that for like 8 hours a day because that's the perfectly nice, natural, healthy way or whatever, because life doesn't work like that, does it?
And it's great, obviously, if you've got a garden, you can send your child out, but you might not be able to send your child out for 4 hours while you're snoozing upstairs in the bed, because your child might kick the football against the fence and then your neighbours will start banging down your door and saying, why is your child unsupervised in the garden? A lot of the time, screen time actually found is keeps your child safe in a safe environment in the house. You don't have to worry about them getting hurt or anything like that. It allows you to have that rest time and allows you to get back to feeling better and being able to do something, because there's no point if you're sat half asleep on the sofa, so you're there, but you're not really there. It's adapting what you can do to allow your child to be in a safe environment. If they're on the computer or they're watching television, yes, it's not ideal, but they're not doing anything. They're not plugging Play-Doh into their ears, sticking pencil up each other's noses or something like that. You know that they're safe, they're entertained. This is actually, I think this is quite crucial. If you need a break to actually get back to some sort of normality where you can actually do just some everyday tasks. If you are too exhausted to do it, you need that break. Allow yourself that break.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things that we talk about quite often, is what you need to have that to help you, self-manage, to help you, get by. And I think, you look at, oh God, sometimes I talk about like a survival pack, and in that you have the fact that you need to have that time of rest. But actually then you have to think about another human being, your child, right? And think, well, what do they need during this time? So it's actually, double work on your brain. And so that's, adds to the whole fatigue and tiredness. And what I'm sort of interested in is how your child's been. We see him, we come along to our group, Sophie, and we see him he comes along, pops on the screen, and he's a great kid. And so personally, for me, my wife, she's got a long-term condition, chronic fatigue, which comes and goes. So pretty much resting, pacing, and it's quite difficult for our three kids they're all neurodivergent as well. So actually getting across to them those, what needs to happen and when is sometimes quite difficult. How has your child been with you since your diagnosis? How is he sort of in that, you said you rely on him quite a lot. So how is he with all of that?
So he's really stepped up to the role. I think he's found he feels more grown up. I've given him responsibility, so I've always explained to him why I can't do something. So it's not just like I can't do it or I don't want to do it. Because obviously for children often it's like, oh, I can't do it, and it's more of like I can't be bothered to try. So I think it's quite important to explain why you can't do something, why this is difficult, and why you need the help. He's now gone to the point of where he knows when I need help. It's almost like he intuitively senses if I'm going, oh, he's usually like, his head swivels round. What does mum need? It's quite common for me too. He'll be gaming on the computer in the living room, and I'll just bring a jar to him and something like, can you just pop the lid off for me, please? Because even though it might have already been open, I can't open it. Or do you mind coming to the kitchen, just opening this for me, or pick that up for me? He's quite good at that now. It wasn't like that from the start. We've sort of grown into it, sort of. I've learned what he's capable of, and he has learned what my limitations are.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've sort of grown along in that role, because I don't have another adult to ask for help usually. We've grown into a symbiosis, I would call it, where he sort of knows certain areas where I might struggle with. For example, getting dressed is one of my issues. I struggle to get my upper body dressed. And if I shout in the morning or in the evening when I need to get undressed, if I say, oh, can you come up and help me, please? He will usually come, and he knows that that's what I need help with. I don't even really need to tell him how to do things most of the time, because he knows now how to do things. At first, it was a learning curve. It was like, oh, do it like this, or hang on a minute, you need to pull on the bottom of the sleeves now, pull here, and then now pull there. And then look, we've got it all off, and that was easy. And I've always made a big point of saying thank you to him, give him a cuddle and say, you're really helpful and I really appreciate it. I do make a big point of telling him how well he's done and how helpful he is, to encourage him to actually keep going with that as well. I know with neurodivergent children, sometimes that's a bit more difficult. It does take a lot of repeating that encouragement to get them to understand that actually that's a good thing, that that's a wanted behaviour, and that's a needed behaviour as well, potentially for the adult, obviously.
And obviously you mentioned about the process, at the start. Was there a sense of, or do you think there might have been a sense of a before and after sort of thing? So, life might have changed quite dramatically. So was there things that both of you might have done before, your diagnosis, obviously, or before even the symptoms even started, to what afterwards? Was there sort of that process there? Oh, we can no longer do this activity or whatever?
So I used to be very active with him. So we used to go and be out most weekends. We'd be going somewhere, we'd be going for a walk or going exploring somewhere, traveling somewhere, wherever we could get on bus. And now, obviously, I struggle with that. I can't do it every week. It happens, as it happens, actually, the first year was sort of hit and miss a bit. And then we had COVID. And so obviously there was a lockdown and we didn't really go anywhere, or we weren't allowed to go lots of places. But I even struggled going for a walk in, like, say, the local woods, or taking him to the playground on a regular basis. That was then, I'm really sorry, I would like to go with you, but I can't today. My leg is hurting, or my feet are hurting. I really can't walk. I'm so tired. I wouldn't feel sort of better until the evening sometimes. So then, oh, I'm sorry, it's too late now, or it started raining, I'm so sorry. So there is certainly, we used to be out a lot and we aren't anymore. I do still plan days out. So yesterday we did go and have a big trip to Manchester. It was planned in advance. I made sure I had a rest day before. I made sure that today is a rest day, because I know today I'm not going to go far. My feet are hurting, my legs hurting, my shoulders are hurting from carrying a rucksack. I am not happy. My body is not happy today. That's fine. I accept that. That's part of the deal that I get. I always, even if I have something planned, I always explain there is a possibility that on the morning we have to change plans because I can't do it. It doesn't mean that we're not going to do it. It just means we can't do it on that particular day. I do try and make or plan days out where you're not limited to a ticket. It has really improved since the COVID restrictions are now gone, because you no longer have to book museums and things like that in advance. So you can actually go and decide on the morning of the day, yes, I'm well enough.
It sounds like your communication with him has been like possibly the most important thing in all of this, and like sort of building that relationship as to how you've been able to, as you said, sort of like have that sort of like very beautiful symbiotic relationship between the two of you. And so just by communicating efficiently the whole time is what sounds like it's made it really successful.
I think it's really important to explain things because as an adult, I've worked with somebody who had a long-term health condition before I had one. And I never really understood the term of, I feel exhausted. It was always, even I thought, oh, would not going to bed early, would that not help? Would going to sleep not help? Would you not feel better? And now I fully understand it. I don't think anyone who doesn't have a long-term health condition that causes exhaustion really fully understands the impact of it, fully understands just how it feels, because I couldn't understand it. It's a totally different sense of tiredness, not like anything I ever experienced. Even having a newborn baby and being up every 2 hours, I would say I would pick over the exhaustion I have now. It wasn't anywhere near as bad because you could go to sleep and then you would wake up and you would feel better. Whereas now I might sleep for 4 hours and I wake up and I feel only marginally better. So effective communication is 100% the key. You have to explain just how you feel to try and make the other person understand where you're struggling and what you're struggling with and how to help you. Because the other person doesn't know how to help you. A child especially doesn't know, oh, that hurts. Try and help me. So I think effective communication and praise as well for the child when they have actually helped you particularly well. I think it's quite important to reinforce that positivity about the situation. You've done really good.
Excellent. Another thing you touched on there as well, which I think is quite important to mention, is like, other than how sort of well you clearly like manage your pacing and everything like that. Obviously, like Terry and I are big fans of planning and pacing, as you know, anyone who listens to this podcast will have heard us bang on about so many times. But it sounds like you're not only you doing a great job of that, but also there's also the challenge of like you have to prioritize even more than you would if you just had arthritis, because there's also a child to look after as well. So your priorities and what you can do with the maybe finite amount of energy you have each day is going to be different.
I'm not sure I'm the best at pacing. Sometimes I do overdo it. I think it's difficult to have a lot of jobs, especially dealing with the brunt of the housework, dealing with the other admin, the school admin, which is somehow always more than you think is possible. That should be actually expected of a parent, the amount of things that schools need for special days, non-uniforms and days out and trips and special events and payment here and payment there and school lunches and everything. There's a lot of admin really that we have to do, and sometimes you have to go and have a cut-off point and say, I can't do any more than that. It's good to think what's important and prioritize what is important to you. That might be different for everyone. I know everybody has different ways of prioritizing things, but make a list of what's important and rate it by how important it is and stick with that. And if it's not at the top of your list, then it's not important. And if it's not been done, then it's not been done.
I really like that. There is an unappreciated art, the ability to say no to things, which I think is a trap a lot of people fall into. They just say yes to everything without taking into account that you're going to suffer so much more just because you don't want to say no. But yeah, having what you have that ability to like think like that isn't that important. What's more important is this.
I think what's really important as well is if you do unimportant things a lot of the time, you run out of energy for the important things. So you get to the end of your day and you realize, oh no, I really needed to do this. And now I don't have any energy left. That doesn't work with a child. You can't go and say, oh, you really needed a bath tonight. You haven't had one for 4 days. Oh, well, but I'm too tired now to do that because I instead decided to, I don't know, wash all the glasses in the cupboard or clean out the kitchen cupboards. That wasn't important. So I think it's important, especially with children, prioritize what is important for your child, what's important for your relationship with your child. Things like, do you need to do some homework? Do you need to assist your child with homework? Do they need some time to spend with you doing a particular activity? Activities can be adjusted to make them easier for you. If your child likes playing with toys on the floor, there's always a way to get around it, whether or not you get a chair, you pull a chair up and sit on a chair or sit on a stool or something, and you join in from your lap. That's fine. Most children are quite happy for the adult just to be there. And sort of join in. Encourage your child to make it possible for you to join in. If that's important, set that time aside for you to bond with your child as well, because you bonding with your child will make your child understand easier what you need of them.
Another thing just to pile on top of all this as well is, like you mentioned, that you work as well. So how exactly do you manage that on top of all of this?
So I work part-time. I think for me that's quite important. I don't quite know how some people can work full-time and have arthritis and still be a parent and potentially be a lone parent. Absolutely hats off to you if you can. I can't imagine doing it. So I worked 20 hours in 2019 when I first started getting poorly. But I worked in an office, so I had to go into work every day. It was a 45-minute walk each way. So that was quite interesting. I did feel exhausted a lot of the time, but that was just the start of my sort of illness journey. I was then furloughed in 2020, right, fairly towards the start of lockdown. I was furloughed, so I didn't have to worry about that. And I was actually furloughed until 2021 when I was made redundant. Thankfully found another position just a couple of months after, and I worked 25 hours. I started off after my initial training period working from home, which I found helped me a lot. Working from home, if you can. Obviously, it's great because you don't have to worry about your commute. I have had a period of time where I worked partially in the office, a couple of days a week. My work is actually really flexible with it. So they really do understand if I do call and say, I'm really sorry, I'm too tight today, or I'm in too much pain, I can't face the commute. My work has always been fine with it. And I did explain to him, so after my initial interview, when I was first offered a position, one of the first things I spoke to them about was, I have RA. How do you feel about this? And their view was straight away positive and was like, that's not a problem. The first thing they said to me, it's not a problem.
Amazing.
And
that's so good to hear.
It was absolutely amazing to hear, because I wasn't sure how they would react.
What about colleagues? Obviously, you look at employers and managers or management teams, and what about colleagues? How are they with you? Because it's, as you say, it's you in a workplace, you've got a mix of parents, non-parents, people with conditions, people without health conditions, and it's how are your, obviously, and now you're a parent and you have you've got RA. So how are your colleagues with that? Was it like, oh, what is it today? Is it, parenting? Is it, health? I mean, was there any of that really bad attitude towards you, or how was that?
So my previous employer, there was a lot. I had some colleagues who really understood the situation, were fine with it. Some of them, it was more sort of like raised eyebrows and what's wrong with you? Sort of situation, but it was a very large office, and there was a lot of people, and there was a lot of throughput. There's a lot of people changing all the time, so it was probably not as intimate an office as what I'm working in now. Now there's a small team of people, and while there has been some changes recently, I am sort of known to a lot of people who have seen me from the start, sort of thing, as they do know that I have issues. My current work colleagues, they all understand that I have got issues. They understand what those issues are, or at least roughly have an idea. They know I have joint pain. I have actually had loads of help from them if I'm struggling with my coat or my rucksack in the office. There's always someone willing to help me. I mean, I do get the laughs when I try and plug something in and I line the plug up in the extension and then take my water bottle and give it a big whack because I can't push the plug in. I've had a few funny looks about it, or when I've dropped something. A few times I've dropped either my bag onto the desk, it just fallen out of my hands when I was trying to take it off, and it's gone down with a right clap. And everybody does look at me, but then they go, "Oh, it's just Sophie, it's okay." My work colleagues have been really great. If I do get stuck in my coat, either getting it on or off, or I need help with a zip, or my rucksack's stuck, they do help. And I'll say, "Oh, if you could just do this bit, or can you lift that strap up for me?" So, "Oh, thanks, that's great." It's no pain for them, and it's all gain for me.
Yeah. We look at the support side of things then, and obviously you're getting a lot. It's great that you've got lots of help. And there's that age-old saying, "It takes a village to raise a child." And do you have like those other support mechanisms in place, family, friends that you can call on, or is it just it takes Sophie to raise a child, and you're sort of.
I have limited support, so I don't have any family locally that I can rely on. My mum's abroad. She does actually come over some of the school holidays to watch him. That was an agreement we had before I started working, because she retired at the time. So she was already retired. She did say, "If you take a job," because my job was not terribly well paid at the time. I was on a very low wage, working part-time. Paying for a sports camp would have essentially eaten up all my wage. Pretty much for that week. So it would have been a matter of breaking even rather than earning any money. So I did explain to her, if I do get a job, can we work something out? And she did say, "Yes, I'll help you." So she does come over, and I'm very, very grateful for that. I know not everybody has that support throughout for the school holidays. Now, outside of the school holidays, I've got limited support. His dad is not overly involved in his life, so he's occasionally involved in it. He has stepped up when there was an emergency, but it's not something that I can regularly rely on. No regular help with that. I have a new partner, but he lives 40 miles away, so he's not locally. He can't just help. He has his own child, so he has his own parenting responsibilities and can't easily just jump in. I do have a friend locally who I can rely on for emergencies. However, obviously there's limits to asking another parent who is also a lone parent for help. If I had to have an emergency and go to hospital, it would be different. I would absolutely be able to count on her. But obviously it's not something where I'm saying I'm not feeling so great to say, "Do you mind having him tonight?" That's not an option. It is just me and him. We do have a good thing. He knows when I say to him, "Right, I've got a terrible day today. Don't push my buttons. Please, when I ask you to do something, please just help me. Please go to bed when I ask you to. I don't want to say it 1,000 times tonight because I can't cope." And he knows that my tone of voice changes when I've got a bad day. And I explained to him, "I don't mean to be nasty to you tonight, but please help me because I can't manage tonight. We really need to, you need to look after me tonight, or need to help each other tonight." And so he does help me with that. And he's been quite understanding, because it's not every night that I say to him, "I can't do tonight." Sometimes we have days where I'm not good and it's quick dinner. It's something that I can ready-made, or I'll say, "Make yourself a sandwich." He's old enough now to do so. I've encouraged him to learn to cook, so he can help me with cooking and things like that. But we do just try and manage the energy that I have between us. And when I've got a bad day, he is really good because he understands it's not every day that mum can't do something or that mum expects me to do things right away.
I think you're doing a great job, and he's doing a great job as well. And I think, it's really, really touching to listen to all that. Yeah, I think it's brilliant. But I was just wondering, like, with all that we've talked about, there's so like I think we've probably gone through the whole self-management manual. And the fact that, you've got exercise with the whole commute to work, you've got healthy eating, you've got planning and pacing in there. And, parenting is so difficult. And what advice would you give to other people, other parents that are living, parenting and living with arthritis? What advice would you give?
Yeah, probably be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up if you can't do something or if you have to put it off. So it's not we're not never going to do it. We'll do it another day. Don't feel pushed into doing something when you can't do it on a certain day. You'll make yourself feel worse. Ask help and accept help, whether that's from school. It's helpful when you explain to school that you have issues. I think it helps when the schools are aware of your condition as well. You don't have to go into every little detail. Just the fact that they're aware that there is an issue. You don't even have to tell them what you're suffering with, but if you explain to them you have a long-term health condition that sometimes makes things more difficult for you, the school will look out for you. I think it's quite helpful to explain to people that there is something. I know lots of people don't want to talk about having a condition, but we wouldn't expect someone in a wheelchair to just navigate those steps. We would go and say, of course, we need a ramp for a wheelchair user to get up the steps. But sometimes because our illness is invisible, we sort of feel like we don't deserve that help or we don't want to explain that we need help. And it helps to say, yes, I do have something. You might not see it, but there is something wrong with me and I do need some help. Please give me that help. And adaptations are made for you. And trust your instincts. Do the important things that for you, not what other people prioritize in their lives.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sophie. That's a really nice, I think we'll end it on that one because that's a really nice note to end on. And thank you so much for giving us your time today as well.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Also, should anyone want to sort of like look at any more of our resources and like join one of our groups, perhaps, as sort of Sophie does, then like you can find all this information on our website, which is www.arthritisaction.org.uk, or you can send us an email to the podcast, which is podcast@arthritisaction.org.uk. So thank you very much, Terry.
Thank you.
And thank you very much, Sophie. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.